Thank you, Eric, and it is very much my honor to be here on stage with you, and thank you to the Commonwealth Club for the opportunity. This book came about by accident. I didn't set out to write it. I didn't set out to become part of the maker movement. It sort of washed over me as I, basically as an exercise of parenting gone horribly wrong. I have 5 children, and I'm constantly trying to get them interested in science and technology. And so I always think of, projects we can do together. I started a site called Geek Dad, which is all about sort of projects that are fun for you and fun for the kids, as opposed to fun for them and not fun for you, and the opposite as well. And yet I fail constantly in getting them interested, perhaps because I'm trying so hard. One weekend, one Friday at the office, we got 2 boxes that came in, and the first was a Lego Mindstorms robotics kit, which was kind of really cool. Lego Mindstorms is basically Lego with sensors and actuators, and you can build Lego robots. It's really good. And the other box was a remote control airplane. And I thought, Saturday we'll build a robot. Sunday we'll fly a plane in the park. This will be the best Geek Dad weekend ever. So you can sort of see where this is going. Saturday we dutifully put together the robots. It's a little 3-wheeled tribot, and you put the pieces together, then you program. It's beautifully designed, great sort of drag and drop programming language. I thought, this is awesome. The kids are going to love it. And we finally get it ready, and we push the button, and it kind of goes forward until it hits a wall, detects the wall, and then backs up. And the kids are like, "You're kidding. I've seen Transformers. That's not a robot. Where are the lasers? It's not 3 stories tall. It's not dealing death from the skies." And I'm like, okay, Hollywood has ruined robotics for children. It's hard to compete with CG. I get this. We always have tomorrow. So we're going to go to the park tomorrow. We're going to fly a plane and go to the park. And we watch YouTubes of acrobatics, and it was really cool. Go to the park, straight into a tree. And if that wasn't bad enough, it was the part where I climbed up the tree to retrieve it, which is completely mortifying, and much ice cream had to be bought to ply them off for that disaster. But I was thinking about it, and I was so frustrated. I'd failed once again at being a geek dad. I'd failed, once again at getting them excited about science and technology. And I was thinking, how could that have gone better? I thought, I bet the Lego could have flown that plane better than me. It had these sensors. It had these gyros and accelerometers and compasses and GPS and Bluetooth. It would connect to GPS. And I was thinking, your phone in your pocket has all that stuff. I'll bet you could actually sort of fly a plane with this. And so I got the kids together, and we built a Lego autopilot and put it in the plane that kind of almost worked. And it's now in the Lego Museum, I'm proud to say, the world's first Lego unmanned aerial vehicle. According, by the way, it turns out that the autopilots are regulated as munitions by the State Department, and technically we weaponized Lego that day. But what that made me realize is that there's something very exciting going on in what used to be hard to do stuff, electronics, sensors, things like that. And my little discovery with Lego Mindstorms and my children got me into the recognition that maybe hardware, maybe physical stuff, was something that I actually could do, and it was actually interesting, and it wasn't scary anymore. So I started messing around and learning a little bit, and I found something called Arduino, which is an open source computing board, and then learned more about sensors, and I kind of went way down the rabbit hole, and today I run a drone company with a Mexican drone factory. I'll just say that again, Mexican drone factory. And 5 years ago, I was just a dad messing around in the park with my kid and crashing into trees. And now we put more drones in the air than the U.S. military. Actually, we put more drones in the air every year than the entire U.S. military fleet. Not that ours are death-dealing, predator types. Ours are little sort of foam and sort of plasticky things that cost a few $100s. But the point is, we could do it. And that experience, recognizing that a regular guy just trying to be a kind of a geek dad ends up competing with the aerospace industry using open source hardware and open source software and readily accessible technology, made me realize that something had happened. And I felt that chill. And the last time I felt that chill was when I first saw the first web browser. And when I realized that the concept of publishing was now a button, and the concept of putting things on the internet was now super easy. And we all remember that first moment when suddenly we realized that something that looked hard, broadcast, publishing, communicating to billions of people, had become a simple matter of opening, a click, point and click, and pressing the publish button. That moment, that democratization of technology moment, was what had just happened with physical things. And then we got a 3D printer, which, we didn't bring out one actually, but many of you may be familiar with 3D printers. They're basically just like a 2D printer, which is, a 2D printer takes pixels on your screen and turns them into dots of ink on paper, turns bits into atoms. It's a little bit of a, kind of an intellectualized framework, but that's really what it does. It turns digital stuff into physical stuff. And it does it in, puts it on paper, and then you hold it in your hand. And all a 3D printer does is it does the same thing, but just puts on more layers. Just adds really one motor to your little desktop printer, and it builds up things out of plastic or metals or things like that. Now, the ones you can get at home tend to do plastics, and we got one. And my children now grow up with a 3D printer, and they think it's completely normal that anything they can imagine, they can make, and anything they can draw on the screen, we can print out, and they complain about the resolution and the fact that we don't have enough colors, and it's a little slow, but the point is that children have 3D printers now. Not all children, but this day shall come. And that, too, was a democratization moment. So once you've seen this, once you recognize that the technology that used to be hard and industrial and expensive is now cheap and easy, and we've introduced words like desktop and personal to formal industrial technologies, then you're like, wait, I remember this. I remember what happens when you add words like desktop and personal to technology. It's 1977, Homebrew Computing Club, and this is Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, and they've just realized that this little chip that you can buy in a store can actually make a computer, which could become a personal computer and a desktop computer, and they changed the world. And I realize we're doing this, we have the opportunity right now to do the same thing, not with computers, but with manufacturing. And the amazing thing about doing it with manufacturing is that, now we're talking about moving the needle for the economy as a whole. Industrial, we are a world that's primarily atoms. The industrial economy is larger than the digital economy. If we could take the innovation model of the web, if we could take the social forces, the cultural revolution of the web, and apply this to the biggest industries in the world, the internet could be just the beginning, and we could really see what the digital revolution can do. When you think about it this way, the subtitle of my book is The New Industrial Revolution, and there's really, I'm going to sort of phrase this as the third industrial revolution. And let me just explain how this works. The first industrial revolution, which all of you know, is actually here's a quiz. How many people think that the first industrial revolution came in the 1700s? Nobody. How many think it came in the 1800s? About half the room. And how many people think it came in the 1900s? A smaller group. Okay, so most of you think it happened in the 1800s. First, the answer is that nobody has a precise definition, but most people start actually in 1776, around the same time as the American Revolution, with the spinning jenny. The spinning jenny, now we'd had spinning wheels all the way back to fairy tale times, but a spinning jenny was just multiple wheels, and it often had a treadmill, a treadle, rather, a foot power to drive multiple wheels that could spin multiple threads at the same time. Now, what that meant is we basically had amplified human potential, that one person could spin multiple threads. And that amplification of human potential meant that people became more productive, and you could start to not just make clothes for yourself and your friends, but start to be a little bit of an entrepreneur, a cottage industry, if you will. And then that foot power turned into water power. There was probably horsepower in there as well, and then ultimately steam power and electric power and beyond. But that basically replaced muscle power with machine power and amplified human capacity. It doubled lifespan in the United Kingdom in over 100 years. It took the population from sort of like 3 to 5 million to 30 to 50 million. It hugely improved quality of life as people moved from the rural, the countryside, to the cities. You may think that the factories were dark satanic mills, and they probably weren't nice places, but by moving people from the country to the city, you had things like access to clean water,